I completed Black Myth Wukong around 2 weeks ago. It took me around 85 to 90 hours to finish the storyline. And today in this video, I am going to share my overall experience that I had with the game. I will also talk about the good things and the bad things that I found while playing the game. And I will tell you when you should buy the game, and when not. But before that, let me tell you that this is a spoiler-free video, so don't worry about getting hit by any story-related spoilers. Also, all the opinions that I am going to share here are my own. So, let's get started.
准备1、2、3
First thing first, I want to talk about the gameplay. Black Myth Wukong has merged the action RPG and Souls-like genres, both with linear game environments and realistic Unreal Engine 5 graphics. Yeah, this is not an open-world game, and it didn't need to be one of them. I already made a video in the past regarding this topic. So overall, the gameplay of Black Myth Wukong makes me feel as if I'm playing a Souls-like game, but with lesser difficult enemies. The combat system consists of melee attacks, followed by heavy attacks, using your spells, and the most important thing, changing into the select bosses you've defeated and using its powers to stagger your enemies more vastly. Combos vary depending upon which special attack you choose when you press the heavy attack button after performing a certain melee attack, and so on and so forth. Casting spells gives you more advantage over more difficult bosses, which also impacts the enemy depending upon your level and the status of your skill tree. Yes, this game has a skill tree feature like many RPG action-adventure games. You also get to upgrade your gourd and enhance your health, attack, and defense levels by spending the willpower orbs that you have been collecting since the beginning of your journey. You even get chances to rebuild your skill tree and your power and attack levels all together anytime whenever you are roaming in the game's world, which is great depending upon the environment and situation you're into. Talking about the boss fights, no, this is not any kind of boss rush game at all. Most Souls games out there contain numerous boss fights, so this is also similar in Black Myth Wukong. Each place and area has its own type of enemies and bosses, where each of their attacking styles and patterns are distinct from one another. These boss fights are really fun and difficult at the same time, mostly because of its combat system as per my own experience. And let me tell you that you cannot adjust the game's difficulty manually, so this game would be great for those who love to face challenges in games, even if you have never played any Soulsborne or Souls-like game before. Yeah, you need to use your brain power to learn the pattern of moves and attacks of the enemies, so that you know when to start attacking and when to dodge them in order to prevent getting hit and defeated by them. There are some moments when the gameplay feels more cinematic than any Souls-like, like whenever you enter inside a new area, the game slaps a cinematic kinda shot of the view of that place. Some cutscenes are a little longer than the regular ones, especially when an important or a climax scene comes. But don't worry, those long cutscenes, except for the last one during the final part of the story, usually take around 2 to 3 minutes, unlike many modern PlayStation titles. You know if you know. The game has one of the best cinematic intros I have ever seen. I would love to see a TV series based on the novel Journey to the West with an animation level like this. And it is not only about the graphics, but rather the beautiful art direction that the game has adapted. In the intro mission, the game makes us feel and shows how powerful our Monkey King, Xong Wukong is. And immediately after that, we start our journey as the Destined One, traveling through the vast forest, the mountains of the white snow, and many other beautiful places to explore and gather what belongs to us. These locations have been pulled from the novel, and they are quite similar to the places that we've seen in the Monkey King movies. On the other side, the game tells the story that is set after the events of the Journey to the West. The game did a great job in reintroducing many characters, and indirectly exploring the past of Xong Wukong through various boss fights and story narration. Yes, it is not perfect, but still, Black Myth Wukong did a great job in balancing the gameplay and the storyline all together. But now, everything in this world has its own plus sides and minus sides, right? So after talking about all the plus sides and the good things the game has, let me also talk about the minus sides of the game, and then accordingly, you can decide if you want to play this game now, or later. Since the game's storyline is taking place after what happened in the Journey to the West, you need to have an overall idea about the main storyline. If you don't know anything about Chinese mythology, the history of Xong Wukong, and the ranking system of the Chinese gods and all that, then you might end up getting confused about the storyline and you couldn't enjoy the game without understanding what's going on in the story. This game primarily focuses on China's gaming audience and its own market. And there, people already know about their own history, scriptures, and culture, which is obvious, so it is very much easier for them to catch the game's storyline and understand the characters, compared to other players who don't know anything about Chinese mythology or anything about the events of the journey to the West. So this could be a deal breaker, and I highly suggest you, if you never read or watched any movie or TV show based on the novel, then please don't buy the game now. You will get lost in the plot and might end up giving up on the game after the second or the third chapter. There are many explanation videos on the journey to the West out there on YouTube, so you also can watch one of them and play the game afterwards. In the end, it's your choice. Now, even if you already know the storyline and qualify for this point that I've just mentioned, there's another downside in the game, but this time, it is gameplay-wise. 99% of the boss fights in this game are very easy to find, whereas the 1% boss fights are so hidden inside some locations in the game that many players, mostly casual players, might end up missing some of them. These secret levels plays a significant role in obtaining special weapons and armory stuff, which in return makes the later battles easier than before as you progress. So missing them will make the player suffer ultimately. Also, the game lacks the option to have and access a minimap for each location, so if you miss a single secret fight, then you might miss something big in the end. Now the next minus point of the game is totally related to its technical aspects. You can find many invisible walls inside each chapter, and that might irritate some of you, I know, but the developers went to this route, maybe, because of the technical and hardware limitations. First of all, Black Myth Wukong is not an open-world title as I've mentioned earlier, so this is a common thing that you might end up facing an invisible wall at some point. The locations after Chapter 2 starts becoming larger and larger, which makes explorations more difficult as each chapter passes, and to be honest, this doesn't make the game feel linear at some point. But all these might frustrate some players, especially those who are new in video games. But it is good for those players who have played games like Dark Souls and Sekiro Shadows Die Twice before. And lastly, I want to talk about the technical performance and optimizations regarding the PC version of the game. Now, this is the official chart of Black Myth Wukong's system requirements for almost every graphical preset. If I am not wrong, all the graphics presets here are targeting to run the game at a constant 30 frames per second, and luckily without using any frame generation. I am currently playing the game on my system that comprises a dedicated Radeon RX 7800 XT graphics card. And as per Game Science's chart, my RX 7800 XT can run the game at 4K resolution with the very high preset, which is strange, because this is a 1440p card, and not a 4K card for sure. And seeing the game's visuals, I highly doubted that the game even could run at 4K 60 FPS. But then I realized that there is nothing mentioned anything related to the target FPS, and yes, I was correct. And for your information, here's the full specification of my PC. Okay, so, I first turned off frame generation, which comes already enabled by default out of the box. Now, I am playing the game at 1440p with the very high preset. Now with these settings, I am getting around 55 to 65 FPS, depending on the area and location where I am hovering around. But then, in heavily demanding and intensive areas, the FPS hits down around 40, 45 FPS, which even falls down around the 30s range whenever there are too many enemies. See, the game is heavy CPU demanding, and yes, definitely, Black Myth Wukong on PC still needs more optimizations and workarounds to run more efficiently on every compatible PC hardware. By default, Black Myth Wukong highly emphasizes on the frame generation technology, which is fine, but it should not be used as an excuse for improper optimization. On the other side, it also has no TAA option to toggle, so you need to stick with either DLAA, FSR, or XESS, including the worst of them, which is TSR. Yeah, avoid it if you can. Now even on mid-range PCs, you can still play the game without frame generation, if you are comfortable unlocking the game at 30 or 40 FPS, without exceeding medium to high settings. The frame generation works mostly great in many scenarios, however, the game still has the issue of input lag, which occurs when many enemies gather in front of you all together. It doesn't matter if the frame generation feature is turned on or off. The interpolated frames also cause ghosting and shimmering around the main character, with over-sharpened anti-aliasing techniques that are very difficult to show you in this video. So I don't recommend dragging the anti-aliasing slider all the way up to 100%, even if you're having a NASA computer in your home. So, the very first discount on Black Myth Wukong is yet to come on all of its current available platforms. So if you are planning to buy the game now, then please try to keep patience and wait for its first discount to be available. I don't recommend buying this game at full price, since it is more than 3 months old now. So in the end, if you love Souls-like or Soulsborne games based on different mythological events, and the RPG genre, then I highly suggest you to play Black Myth Wukong. But yes, buy this game whenever it is available at a certain discount. And with that being said, friends, if you've already played the game, then don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments section down below. And with that, thank you so much guys for watching the video. Wishing you all a great time ahead, and I will see you in my previous videos and in the next one.